Howie robbery is about to strike again, and where's he gonna go? Nobody knows. But if I had to target one place, it would be the Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, King Dingbat here, and if anybody thinks Howie Roseman is done yet, I got a bridge I want to sell you, because he is far from done. And I expect Howie Roseman to be ready to drop the hammer, ready to commit Howie robbery once again, especially after we get past June 1st. Remember, we've got a lot of decisions to make about June 1st. What are they going to do with James Bradberry? That's a giant question. And I would think the Eagles are going to look to move him. Maybe they could trade him for a late 2027 seventh round pick, maybe a 2042 seventh round pick, maybe something in 2063. Who cares? Just get something for him, because if you trade him, you'll save about $1.2 million in cap space. And this team is sitting there with $27 million in cap space right now. So why wouldn't Howie Roseman make another move? We definitely have work that still could be done. I mean, there's plenty of positions we could talk about making moves. Defensive end, linebackers, you could always add depth to that. Wide receivers. There's a lot of places the Eagles can make moves. The one place I don't think you have to anymore is the secondary. Now, if you want to go out and get Justin Simmons because he's Justin Simmons and he could come in and play well, then that's fine. That's one thing. But I don't think the Eagles need to add any more defensive backs. Actually, to be quite honest with you, I think the Eagles are probably going to trade one or two of those. And maybe you package one of those guys in a deal and you go out and you add another piece. And one of the pieces that I'm thinking specifically about is the wide receiver position. Here's how I see the wide receiver position, right? The Eagles, they have Devante Smith, they have A.J. Brown. I mean, look, these guys are the best receivers in the league. Two of the best in the league, and probably the best tandem in the league. So to me, these guys are fine. Of course, we're okay there. Where we have a problem, and what worries me about the wide receiver position, is what we have behind those two guys, right? Because think about it. You have A.J. Brown, Devante Smith, and then you have, look at this list. Then you have Paris Campbell, Anaya Smith, Johnny Wilson, Britton Covey, Joseph Nagata, Austin Watkins, Shaq Davis, Jacob Harris, and we can't forget that the Eagles just signed John Ross. Now, here's the thing. I actually think between Paris Campbell and Anaya Smith that you'll get production in the slot. I do. I think Paris Campbell, he has enough speed and he's good enough that with the amount of targets a slot receiver is going to get, he'll be fine. My hope, and what I really think is going to happen, is I think Anaya Smith is going to end up being perfect for that slot position, and we'll see him be used in that role during the season. But let me ask you guys a legit question. Let's say, and knock on wood, I hate to talk about it, but let's say A.J. Brown and Devante Smith get hurt. Who's backing them up? Who's backing him up? Devante Smith wasn't at OTAs this past week, which was voluntary, but who started for him in his place? Joseph Nagata. So if you lose one of those two guys, you really have nothing behind them. And people want to talk about Devontae Parker. He was never going to play the slot. I'm convinced he was there to back up those outside wide receivers. So, if you lose Brown, you lose Smith, you really put yourself in a situation where you're really thin at the wide receiver position. I would look to bolster this heading into camp. Now, I don't think you have to rush and do it right now, today, tomorrow. I think you can do it in camp. You can see what you got during preseason. There will be opportunities to be had then. I look at John Ross and I say, yeah, he's got a lot of speed, but I don't know that I can even count that he's going to make this team. And I came, and I say all that because I came across an interesting article, and it said the Eagles linked to first round pick as possible shocking trade options. All right, and basically, this was a Bleacher Report. Basically compiled a list of possible trade targets for the Philadelphia Eagles, and one of them was Treylon Burks. Now, if you guys remember, Treylon Burkes was a guy that a lot of us talked about going into the draft a few years ago, and we thought, oh, maybe the Eagles go ahead and draft him. Big physical receiver, the Eagles need a receiver. What happened? The Eagles ended up trading that first round pick, getting A.J. Brown. The Tennessee Titans used that first round pick, and they draft Treylon Burks. Well, Treylon Burks hasn't been working out with the Tennessee Titans. And the Titans have really revamped their wide receiving position. They've revamped their offense. They brought in, remember, Calvin Ridley. And it looks like Treylon Burks is on his way out. And there's other teams linked to him. Even the Cowboys have been linked to him about possibly going there. I think this is an interesting move. Not because I think he's some great player he's going to be, but he's still young enough that he has talent. He's only 24 years old. He still has 2 years left on a rookie deal, so he's pretty cheap. And I think he's a guy that you stick on the outside behind A.J. Brown, Devante Smith, and you let him play. And you let him learn, you let him play, but he provides you with some depth if something, God forbid, knock on wood, happens to those guys. I think Treylon Burks would be a very interesting player. Now, he had a bad year last year. 16 catches, 221 yards. He's had injuries. That's been a problem. His rookie year, he had 33 catches for 444 yards. So he showed something his rookie year. Last year, bad year with the injuries and stuff. I think if the Eagles, they call up the Tennessee Titans, and they talk to them, they may be able to do something where you trade one of your defensive backs that you're going to try to move anyways and be able to package one of those guys and get him back. He can't be that expensive. Okay, now you might be saying this, well, all this for a backup wide receiver. Listen, I think you need some depth on the outside. Whether you're going to bring back Julio Jones or not, but you definitely need some depth behind Devante Smith and A.J. Brown on the outside. I think Campbell and Nia Smith, I think they'll be able to handle the slot position. Because, listen, no slot receiver is getting, 80 targets this year, 70 targets, because of, all the weapons you have, including Dallas Goedert. But you need a guy in the slot with speed, a guy that can run yards after the catch. And I think they got two guys that could hold that fort down. But what do you have on the outside if something happens? Treylon Burks may be the perfect option. Howie loves guys with those rookie deals with 2 years left on a contract. Something to watch out for, something to keep an eye on, okay? Now, if we were talking like major splash, like, all right, that's something, but is it a lot? I mean, is he really going to be a game changer for the Eagles? I would say no. He's not going to be that, but he could provide much needed depth, and he can have a chance to learn behind two of the best guys. And with 2 years left on his contract, it could play huge dividends for the Eagles. Now, that's not to say I don't like any of their other wide receivers. I really like Nia Smith, we talked about. Brenton Covey, I don't know if he makes a team, but he's not going to play on the outside. And then Johnny Wilson is a guy that I'm really, really expecting him to develop, but it may take him a while. So Treylon Burks, cheap, maybe for another defensive back. Maybe you move Avonte Maddox for Treylon Burks. Something like that. It may work out perfectly for the Eagles. Now, if you were to ask me, all right, what one player do you think we could trade for that would be an immediate impact with the Eagles? And we're talking about people who may not be happy where they are. Maybe they want to get traded. Maybe they requested a trade. Maybe the team is waiting to see how they do to trade them. But to me, The guy who would make the biggest impact for the Eagles, if they could pull it off, would be Trey Hendrickson. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to trade for him or he's even going to go anywhere, but he has requested a trade. He did want to leave Cincinnati. They haven't given it to him, and he is showing up for camp. It looks like he's going to honor his contract. He says all the right things, but he wanted out. He wants out. So that's a situation where you monitor it, okay? You sit there, you go into the season, you wait and you see. Is Nolan Smith giving us everything we need? Is Josh Sweat giving us everything we need? Is Huff living up to expectations? And if you're in a situation where you need a pass rusher still, you need another defensive end, and let's say the Cincinnati Bengals are struggling and they may be looking to trade a guy at the trade deadline, he may be the perfect guy. Guy had 17.5 sacks last year. That's impact. That's the kind of impact the Eagles need. Now, he is 29 years old, so you would bring him in, let him play out his contract and go. You wouldn't probably give him a huge contract. You didn't want to give it to Reddick. I don't think you would give it to him. But to me, he would make the biggest impact right away if you were able to get him. Of course, there are always guys out there that we don't know are on the trade block, that we don't know are going to possibly get moved. And then Howie pulls these trades out of his ass. I expect Howie to do something, especially after June 1st, heading into camp. I think this roster is far from finished. If you want to make an immediate impact and somehow you can wrestle Hendrickson, that would be the biggest impact you could possibly make. Now, there is guys like Yannick Ngakoue is still available. Guys like that are still out there. So there are players that you can sign that can come in and help with the depth. But Hendrickson would be absolutely a huge move by the Eagles. And I don't think you'd have to give up a first-round pick. You didn't give a first-round pick up for Hassan Reddick, and they're pretty much the same age. So, we'll see. As far as Treylon Burks, if you could get him dirt cheap, like I'm talking for like a defensive back that you're going to move anyways, and just bring in some depth, a young guy that can learn behind A.J. Brown, Devante Smith, I think it's a good idea. Something to watch out, because that's the kind of move Howie likes to make, especially guys that still have years left on their rookie deals. With that, let me know what you think in the comment section. Take care. Talk to you later, of course. Don't be a dingbat, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful holiday weekend. Dallas still stinks.
Dude, what the fuck?
The Cooper! The flying
Oh my
Frenchman!
god! Oh my god!
C'est bon!
C'est
bon! I'm dizzy. We did it. We did it. We transformed the Philadelphia Eagles secondary. We now have a secondary that is going to be good for years to come. Because one, we got Quinyon Mitchell, but we also got the flying Frenchman, Cooper DeJean. That's right. The flying Frenchman, Cooper DeJean. C'est bon. Oh, here's another interception. That's right. Cooper DeJean is about to dominate the NFL. Can't wait to see him out on the field. And if you're like me and you thought this was a great move by the Eagles and you support this pick, then you definitely want to check out this shirt. The Cooper DeJean Flying Frenchman shirt. Look at this thing. You can see it in midair, flying through the air, transforming to an eagle. That's right. Cooper DeJean is here. Link is in the description. Get your shirt now while you can, because Cooper DeJean is about to take the Eagles to another level. Denzel Washington, out.
Across the league.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity.
Pardon me for a
these
second.
young people, whether it's the draft, coming in here without having, which we've done at times in the past when we obviously brought in a Cooks and we bring in a Gilmore. It makes it hard for some of these guys to come in and play and beat those guys out. Obviously, there's going to be some opportunities. And, we do have some guys who didn't play for us last year. An Overshown, a John Stevens, who was on his way to making this team before he tore his ACL. You have a Diggs who you didn't get to play. You didn't see play but a couple of games last year.